I am Anthony from Haslage, and you are watching 10 Questions. In this video, I interview Tom, the director of the Lorain County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. I asked some questions about his department, as well as how Lorain County, Ohio is combating COVID-19, the coronavirus. Due to how busy Tom is with supporting the county's jurisdictions in the effort against the virus outbreak, we got straight into the questions. When was your organization established?
In this county, it was started in 1988. It was a result of, after FEMA was started in the mid-70s by President Carter, because at the time the Department of Defense ran the disaster response in the country, and they weren't doing it that well. So FEMA was designed by President Carter, but it worked so well that Ronald Reagan adapted it, and then he put out a directive in the mid-80s, around 85, 86, that there had to be an emergency management agency, not only every state at a state level, but every jurisdiction or county and territory in the country also. So we were born roughly around 88, okay. 87, 88.
And you serve every jurisdiction or county right now?
Every jurisdiction in Lorain County, right? There's 34 political subdivisions, townships, and cities and villages, and we do everything for all of them.
Okay. So what is the organization's purpose under FEMA?
FEMA is our... I want to say the mothership, but we report to them on certain things depending on if it goes outside of our capability. But we're basically the planning arm of the local, or for FEMA at the local level. We have various requirements. Those things changed also. After 9/11, we got the Homeland Security peace dump on us also. But we also do emergency planning, resource coordination, and the kinds. Let me shut that off.
Okay, so you're also part of Homeland Security now.
Right, and that was after 9/11 when the Homeland Security Department was developed by the president.
And then how does that change what you were originally doing?
Drastically. We not only we're not doing tornadoes and earthquakes and snowstorms anymore, we're also involved in attacks on the country, smallpox, anthrax, with the health department, those type of things. And then more recently, and this is not necessarily Homeland Security, but the school shootings and public shootings have been involved, so we've been really involved in that also, especially with the schools.
Okay, because you also cover, you had chemical spills, train derailments. Pretty much if a big thing explodes or falls over, you're there.
Pretty much, right. Ohio, and actually across the country, is a law called the Community Right to Know Act, and that after a series of chemical explosions happened around the world, these facilities that use, store, and manufacture hazardous materials in the country have to report what they have on site, who their emergency contact is, worst case scenarios, that type of thing, contact numbers, and we have to put that together. We receive those every year. We have a employee that's specifically about 80% of his job, and we have about 300 facilities in the county that meet that criteria. So we have to enter all that into a database. It's called CAMEO. It's an acronym for Computer-Aided Management of Emergency Operations. Put that in there, and also allows us to not only quick reference the company, but the chemicals on site, how much they have. We can actually bring a map up that's a census map, put the chemical involved, add the weather to it, and it'll plot where that plume, the release may go. We can look at the census map and say, we have to evacuate for a mile, and we know within that mile there's 8,000 people that live there. So now we can evacuate, or plan for that evacuation.
So other than the chemical inventory you just mentioned, what other services do you guys typically offer on an average day when there's no emergencies happening? Which is a dream, I imagine.
Yeah, I wish it was, especially this week. We mostly do a lot of the planning things. We're working on grants constantly, and a lot of it's equipment readiness. We have our mobile command post. We take care of the county's urban search and rescue stuff, hazardous materials, like I told you, and those teams are hazardous materials, trench collapse, structural collapse, lost person search, and all that equipment belongs to the county, and we have to make sure it's all ready to go.
Okay, so in light of the current situation involving COVID-19 or the coronavirus, how is your organization preparing?
Well, obviously this has been a bit different than having that normal tornado. In fact, I'd rather have a tornado than what we've been going through recently. But we've become more of a hub for resources, not only giving out information, because my normal day of 20 to 25 emails has become 200 emails. And we get a lot of information from the CDC, the local health department, and the state emergency management agency, which I have to send out. And not only does it like my normal day where it goes to police and fire and ambulance services. Now it's the hospitals and elected officials and anybody else. And now with this small business administration declaration where they're going to get help because they're closing, I have to deal with the businesses also. So it's been a real challenge, especially with a small staff like we have.
Okay, so you're obviously kind of stacking up on supplies to support the jurisdictional emergency services.
Right.
There's an understanding that there's kind of a shortage. So
Big source.
right. So a couple of weeks ago now, it was something like the wait time was over 2 months.
Right. On March the 9th, the president declared a state of emergency countrywide, and at the same time, Governor DeWine did. That opens us for federal assistance and state assistance. So what we did was we did a quick inventory around the county and said, what are we going to need? And the big need was this N95 mask. I put a request into the state of Ohio to their emergency operations center that we wanted 1,000 of the N95 masks that we could store in case it got worse and we needed them. Obviously, that's been a couple weeks now. I've been following up every day. They made us fill out another request form for the same thing. We filled that out. And then I was told Monday that it was going to be a 70-day wait from now and not to call anymore. Don't bother us. But hopefully now that they've supposedly going to activate this strategic national stockpile, that we'll get something in here quicker than 70 days.
Okay, so I'm going to start getting a little sciencey. Do you happen to have a list or know off the top of your head what are the symptoms and the expected life cycle and the treatment for COVID-19?
Well, that's for the health department.
Right.
Because I'm not worried about it too much right now because we're so in depth on this resource coordination. But I know it's a 14-day process. It's and social distancing is the only one that's going to stop it. Flatten the curve. You've heard that really a lot the last couple of days. Stay home. You don't feel good. Stay home. Don't like me. I've got millions of hours of sick time because I always come into work, but you can't do that. That's the only way it's going to slow this thing down.
Just off the top of my head, I think the symptoms from along the fever, coughing,
Shortness of breath.
Yeah, shortness of breath. So it's basically a light fever or a light flu, I should say, kind of. But it takes a lot out of you.
It's a respiratory illness, unlike
right.
flu. But and like I said, wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your eyes.
Okay, so I actually have a list here. Social distancing, do not touch others, knees into elbow tissues. Wash hands for 20 plus seconds after every contact with items and people. Wear N95 masks only if you are ill, because, you want to protect yourself.
We're having a problem right
others,
now with emergency responders. They don't need to wear one on every call. And our 911 agency does a really good job of screening and let the responders know before they get to the address that there may be an issue there.
Okay. And then the last thing, of course, is sanitize frequently. And any used items or surfaces you should clean daily.
Correct.
That is one of the
doorknobs, countertops, that type of thing.
Exactly.
Something you touch normally a lot.
So the Center for Disease Control had stated that the N95 face mask provides minimal protection against COVID-19, provided a proper seal. There are many people wearing generic face masks out there. Are those face masks providing any protection?
I guess anything's better than nothing. I know we had a meeting here just prior to this where we're looking instead of the N95 mask. You remember the doctor wears a surgical mask that has the elastic things that go over the ears. It also has a face shield that comes up. It's plastic that attached to it. You obviously can see through it, but they're talking about possibly wanting to wear those instead of the N95. Plus, instead of spending $25 for 10 N95 masks, those things are like 50 cents a piece. So that'll help us out as far as funding. Although we hope, the way it sounds right now, that with the designation of what's called a public assistance money, that we're going to be able to pay for all this when it's over with.
The only way that the masks or any mask is really effective is if you can create a seal of sorts around your face, which means no facial hair whatsoever,
Right, yeah,
or very little.
No more than 1 day of beard growth, and they don't even want that.
Right. Okay. So recently, a number of businesses either closed or began offering alternate options to provide services without direct contact. How long do we expect this trend to continue?
I don't know. I hear somebody told me the other day their feeling was, and I'm probably pushing a rumor, which I complain about all the time, but I think you're going to see it go in the middle of May at least.
Because I think the CDC said something along that it's going to kind of spike up, and then it'll just die out during the summer, and then it'll rise back up in fall. Does that seem to be the consensus.
That's the same thing the flu does.
Right.
So it's a wait and see. This is relatively the same, the way the flu works, but the only problem is it's more fatal.
Okay. So we know that the COVID-19 seemingly appeared out of nowhere from Wuhan, China. So, however, rumors are abound about the virus's origin and its statistical makeup in comparison to the annual influenza. So, separate fact from fiction for us, because a lot of people, I've actually interviewed people who told me it was a chemical attack by China that went wrong.
Yeah, I know. We're also, but let me, if I could talk a little bit about the rumor mill. I've had this problem before when we had some emergencies in the city here in Elyria, but this has been the worst I've ever seen with social media. As soon as you hear that, somebody said, or I heard, and it runs rampant. That's how the toilet paper thing started. Somebody made a comment on Twitter that said the paper pulp that they make toilet paper out of comes from China. Boom. That's what started it. And it went from there.
So we had to stop for a sec because you had a phone call. So you were talking about toilet paper scares.
The rumor mill.
Right.
And I believe that started, from what I understand, on Twitter, where someone made a comment that with all the goings on in China and they were closing things down, that the majority of the paper pulp that's used to create toilet paper is shipped in from China. And it took off from there. One single tweet caused all that. And it's still going on. You go into Walmart or whatever, and right now my friend who was just here a little while ago stopped in and say hi. He said he just left Walmart and there's still no toilet paper there.
There's a concern about martial law being declared because of the National Guard being deployed to help out food banks.
Right.
And while we had paused for you to take a phone call, you actually had talked about it a little bit. Could you go into how that came about?
I was going to say Governor Taft, he's been long gone.
Right.
Governor DeWine activated a National Guard, and he's there for two reasons. Number one is to assist the food banks because they're having personnel shortages because people are staying home. And they're also getting a lot of donations. So they're going to assist with warehousing and distribution of food. And the other one is they have some drive-through clinics and things that are going on right now, and hospitals and health departments, things like that, to check people. And they're also having personnel problems. So those Guard members that are medically inclined are also helping there. So those are the two reasons. I mean, we would have to know that martial law was coming, and especially law enforcement and fire, because that's a whole different ball of wax. And I don't think it's ever been declared in this country that I know of, but it would literally be bedlam, and I've had no indication of it at all.
Okay, so where is your organization located, and how can people find it online?
There are two ways of finding it online. One is the Lorain County Commissioners have a web page. If you go to www.loraincounty, and Lorain County is all one word, .us, like United States, and it says departments on there. You can find us there, no problem. It has all the telephone numbers, that type of thing. We also have a Facebook page. It's called Lorain County Emergency Management Situational Awareness, and we try to keep the public up on that because everybody doesn't also necessarily have to go to a web page all the time. We're on Facebook a lot more. So we try to put whatever pertinent things, weather information stuff besides the normal that we're not dealing with right now. So.
And your office is not open to the public, so...
No, especially right now. You're sitting in the county's emergency operations center. That's a secure facility. When it's up and running, there's actually a guard at the door. And in fact, the county commissioners don't even have a key or code to get in the building. We're locked down when we're in here. Right now, we have an open jet because we've been able to handle it with the office staff. But if that strategic national stockpile gets activated and we have to bring equipment into the county, have it shipped in here and divided up and shipped out and delivered, we'll probably come in here with a limited staff and make sure it happens.
Okay. So do you wish to mention anything else about your organization?
Like I said, we've been here since 86, 87. It started with a director sitting in a hallway at a desk. And we were next door here to the old school building for a while, and then he built this facility in 2002 that we're in now. We're 40% of the staff we're supposed to have by recommended staff, so we're kind of small, but I think we do a pretty good job considering we put the amount of hours that is required to get the job done. I've got two other people, and they never question
And
we
you,
gotta stay till 8 or 9 o'clock. Okay.
yeah, you also have like committees that handle different.
Oh, there's a number of committees. Yeah, we have hospitals, emergency medical, the fire chiefs. There's the technical rescue board that governs that hazmat and the other outfits I told you about before. And we attend the mayor's meetings, the township trustees. I go to the commissioners' hearings every once in a while. So we laugh because every Thursday night is about when those meetings are held. So I never saw Friends or those shows that were on Thursday night. So for the last 20 years. But right now I've been catching up on TV because they've canceled all the night meetings.
Well, thank you for your time, and good luck out there.
I appreciate it. We're trying.
Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. We would also like to thank our contributors and patrons for supporting this video. If you wish to add to the discussion, post a comment below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. Thank you for checking out our content. Before you leave, please remember to click like and then subscribe. If you want to receive notifications, do not forget to enable them by clicking on the bell. Then afterwards, check out our social media at HaslageNet and our website at Haslage.net.